I have watched a number of videos when it comes to a comparison between a Chemex and a V60, but to my surprise, all these videos are focusing on the size of the vessel. It's leading us to only calculating the amount of coffee that these vessels can brew, still pushing us to the number of cups that we are supposed to serve after the brew. But in today's video, allow me to twist the tables a little bit so that we can easily get to understand what we are dealing with. Truth is, I won't say that the information given to us in the other videos is wrong information, but that information takes us back to the ages when these vessels were created. Remember, when these vessels were created, recipes were formed, which we term to be basic recipes, from where we, the new baristas, tend to create new recipes. So as I take you through the comparisons between the Chemex and the V60, remember we have similarities and differences. So I think we should start with the similarities. So the first similarity is the ratio or the recipe that you are trying to use while you are brewing a cup of coffee. The recipes can be the same. You can use a ratio of 1 to 17 depending on the strength of the brew that you want to enjoy. So the second similarity is the brewing method. While we are trying to make a cup of coffee, we use the pour over method, whereby we are going to pour water on top of the coffee, hence causing a gravitational force, whereby the water carries the coffee, then it sinks it down to extract or to brew the liquor that we are looking for. Whereby the third similarity is attaining the same flavors. Depending on the kind of coffee that you are trying to use, you can easily get the same flavors out of these vessels. And the fourth similarity is the water temperature. Still, you can use the same temperature, whereby I can easily use a 90 degrees Celsius in a V60, same in a Chemex. So it depends with the client that you are trying to serve, or you, the barista, the temperature that you are trying to test your coffee. And with the temperature, I would recommend a 85 degrees Celsius. And we go to the fifth similarity, which is pre-wetting. Remember, these vessels have to be pre-wetted right from the pepper filter to the vessels. It's really bad to use a pepper filter that has not been pre-wetted. Neither the vessel has to be rinsed, so that we can easily get to wash out the fumes that easily get attached to our brew. And next similarity is the blooming. While we are trying to brew a cup of coffee out of both these vessels, remember the amount of coffee that we put, it might be 30 first pour, or the first amount of water that you get to pour onto your coffee. You as a barista give it a certain period of time to bloom or to burn out those unwanted gases, especially the carbon dioxide, so that we can easily act onto the extraction. And last but not least, the size of the cup where you are going to pour your brew after what? After extracting. Like I told you, you can use the same recipe. That recipe is leading you to the amount of brew that you are going to either serve or test. And then let's look at the differences. The first visible difference is the kind of the vessel that we are trying to use. When you look at the vessel, they look totally different. This is the V60. I won't say that this is the only brand of V60. I know most of you baristas use the Hario V60, but today I'm using the Hoslot's brand, but still it gives us the clear picture. Whereby with the V60, we have a pepper filter holder, or this vessel that holds the pepper filter where we place our coffee, and through it brews the coffee into the downer vessel. But with the Chemex, you just place your pepper filter and it goes direct to the same vessel without splitting itself. And then the second is the pepper filters that we use. So this is a Chemex pepper filter. Yes, I believe most of you have circular shaped pepper filters, but this one is a cubed pepper filter, but they all function the same. So with the pepper filter, it has 4 layers. This is the first layer, second layer, third layer, and fourth layer. But while we are placing it, it has a direction through which it sits into this trench, or the node where the coffee passes through. So we get one part of against the 3 layers. So the first layer sits alone, and the 3 layers are sided on one section. So we get hold and at least give it a slight fold on it, and the 3 layers sit on this trench that we see here. So that is how it looks like. And with the V60, still it has a conical pepper filter, but this one has only 2 layers. So how do we fold it? It has this hard part on the pepper where they get to join it from. First, fold this hard part alone onto a straight line and give it a little tighten up, and then to separate these 2 layers, whereby you are also going to create a conical shape by at least giving it a little squeeze and placing it into your pepper filter. So the pepper filter still, the Chemex pepper filter is kind of thicker than the V60 pepper filter. So the other difference is the grain size. This is the basic difference. Even when you go for interviews, you are supposed to first say the grain size. Remember, with the grain size of the coffee, it tends to determine the strength of the coffee. When we talk about the strength of the coffee, we look at the body, acidity, the sweetness, the sourness, the aftertaste, the flavors, and many more. And due to the course of this video, we're going to have a live brew whereby I am going to be determining the coffee taste basing on the grain size. So here it comes to the last but not least, basic difference. So me as a barista, with this point, I have a challenge whereby in the previous videos, like I told you, time is really different from what I know. With us, the new baristas, like I told you, the other videos are giving us the right information that we are supposed to follow. But we, as the new baristas, dealing with new kinds of people. In the ancient days, many people would gather and you would easily brew many cups out of this Chemex, which is not the same these days. These days, a person is going to come ordering for only 1 cup, and you're holding a Chemex that can easily hold 3 cups. If a barista who has a single cup Chemex, it would be good, but let's put this aside. Now we have a 3 Chemex. In the other videos, they tell us that a Chemex takes much more time while brewing than a V60. Remember, that is determined due to the fact that this vessel is big and can easily hold a number of cups than a V60. These days, the cups are changing in sizes due to the different recipes that we, the junior baristas, or we, the new baristas, are trying to create. I have a cup here. This is 12 O's. I have another cup here. This is 6 O's. But remember, my client tells me that I want a very strong coffee and in a small cup. This is 6 O's, this is 12 O's. That basically means the recipe that I'm going to put here is going to be different from the recipe that I'm going to put here. So I only have 1 Chemex. I'm not going to brew cups, but I need to find the right recipe of brewing 1 cup in a 3 Chemex. What is the size of the cups are you telling us? After brewing the 3 cups, what if I pour the brew in these 6 O's cups and it can easily give me 5 cups? This is going to leave the barista confused. You're saying 3 cups, but the barista is getting 6 cups. And still, the other barista will get the exact 3 cups. So we just have to understand what recipes are we using. So let me say, I have a 10 O's cup. So how am I going to understand the amount of coffee that I am going to brew in these coffees? Let's say we are going to use a ratio of 1 to 17. What are you going to do as a barista to use a vessel that can hold 3 cups? What we are going to do, hold your calculator, like I told you in the previous videos on how you can easily come up with a recipe when it comes to coffee. Go to the calculator and press into the mass. With the mass, it has a number, and you are going to see O's. O's with grams, okay? Because remember, the weighing scales that we are using are measured in grams. So 10, delete, press 10 O's. That basically means this cup, 10 O's, can easily hold 283 grams of any liquid. So I have to make sure that the brew I get out of this is 283. So we have the 283. What's next? You are looking for the right amount of coffee that you are supposed to use. Then we'll go back to the same calculator. Using a ratio of 1 to 17, you get the 283 divided by 17, and we have the right recipe. So here the calculator tells us you are supposed to use 16.6 grams of coffee to attain the amount of the liquid that is supposed to be in the cup. So I think I've said too much when it comes to theory, but I believe that theory first, then you put something into practice. So we are going to start brewing our Chemex and V60 coffee. We are going to place the vessels on the weighing scale. So what is the first thing? I am done with boiling my water. I am going to switch on my weighing scales. So the next thing we are supposed to do is, with the Chemex, you can easily pre-weight it. Like you see, make sure you pre-weight all the parts of the what? And all the parts of the pepper filter. So like you feel the fumes are really coming into my nose. At V60, same, we are going to pre-weight the peppers. So after pre-wetting the peppers, with the Chemex, like you see, its flexibility is really hard or confusing. So you can either pour the water like that, or Some baristas have a tendency of holding the pepper filter, but you have to be very careful, or you must be putting on gloves. So when you hold it off, pour out the water and place the pepper filter back. But with the V60, it's just flexible. You just carry off the vessel and pour away the water. Then, okay, so after the pre-wetting process, we are going to use a standard ratio of 1:17, but we are going to use 16 grams of coffee. Get the 16 grams times 17, which gives us 272 grams of water that we are supposed to be placing on top of the coffee. So I'll tell and tell both. Now I am going to place the coffee into the what? Into the pepper filter or the vessel. But remember, I am going to use 16 grams on both, 16 grams on both what? On both vessels. Okay, so that is 16, and let's come to the V60. Those 16 grams, like I told you, I am going to use the same what? The same recipe. So here we are going to be looking at the timing. How many minutes does it take to brew a Chemex and a V60? Then like you see with the grains, this is a medium grind and this is a medium to fine grind. So this is basically coarser V60. So when I held it, it came back to 15. So I have to make sure it's 16. All right, so that is 16. Now I am going to begin with the Chemex. I'll tell, then start the timing, but still I am going to use the same pouring method. Most of the baristas use only the blooming and one time pouring, then blooming one time and two times. But here I am going to use the same timing every after 30 seconds. So 16 blooming to be 32 and 32 seconds. So I'll start the pour. Up to 32. All right, that's not bad. So I'm going to give it 34 seconds to allow the blooming process take place. Yes, you're going to ask, why isn't my coffee bubbling? So it depends on how many days or how long has the coffee been there. So after the 34 seconds, I'll continue with my pour. Slightly and gently. Up to 160. All right, so whatever I'm doing here is what I'm going to do here. So I'll give it a little hitch, a little tilt, then leave it to concentrate. So here we are looking for 272 grams. So after the 30 seconds, then I am going to continue with the pour. Remember here we are looking at 1 cup, not the 3 cups like it's indicated, up to 274. But when you're pouring, you have to be gentle. Okay, roughly 72. So this is the exact amount of what? Give it a little tilt. So this is the exact amount of liquor that we are looking for. So after the brewing process, then we are going to stop the timing and we see how long does it take. I can see the pour is still perfect and everything is going on smoothly. So with the grain size, while we are testing, I am going to tell you what exactly getting out of these two coffees. Yes, I believe the temperature is right because it's 92 degrees. So by the time I'll finish this, it will have reduced to the right exact temperature that I like testing my coffee. So this has ended at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The Chemex is 3 minutes, that's 1 cup and 20 seconds. So let's get to the V60. whoa, what's happening? It has gone back to 15. All right, so let's make sure it's 16 exactly. All right, so we are going to tell and we are going to start the pour. Start the timing up to 32. All right, roughly 33, almost the same, but let's go with that. And so like we see here, we have the flat surface. Everyone looks to understand that their coffee is really delicious. So let's get to this. Oh, these are pour over methods. Like you see the gravity that is occurring when it comes to pouring. So what I like about the V60, it has a very nice creamer. There we go. Okay, then we are taking it to one. I don't know why this changed, but give it a little tilt. So here we are first looking at the timing, which takes much more time. Remember, we are brewing 1 cup, not 3 cups like it is indicated. So after the 30 seconds, and then we continue with the pour. Slowly, slightly. Up to 272. Almost, okay? Slightly. Oof, okay. No problem. Let's go with that. All right, give it a little tilt, and there we go. So here we are going to look at the time lapse, which takes much more time when we are brewing. How are the tests when we are brewing the cup? So as we try to look at the V60, one barista told me that whenever they are brewing a V60, remember it takes between 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes or 3 minutes and a half. But the barista was telling me that it takes roughly 1 minute and a half. And I was really surprised. So let's share different ideas on what really happens, why, and why is it like that way. So it's almost done. Okay, so I look at the coffee dry, then I stop the timing. So we see the Chemex is taking 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The V60 is taking 2 minutes and 35 seconds. So one is going to ask, the Chemex has coarse grains and V60 has fine grains, but why is it that the Chemex is taking too much time and the V60 is taking less time? When we look at the pepper filter, like I told you, this is a thick pepper filter that gets hold of the different ingredients within the coffee. That's why you are going to find that V60 coffee is more oily than the Chemex coffee. So let's take off. Like you see, my coffee is a flat surface. So basically that means I win when it comes to the what? When it comes to good testing. So we've seen the timing. Then it's time to test. And I'll start with a Chemex. You first give it a spin and pour. All right. Then let's get our V60 also. Give it a little spin and pour. Okay, so virtual reality, the first thing I am looking at is the color. When you look at the Chemex, it has a light color, basically, which indicates a light body than a V60. Let's have a look. This is more creamy than the Chemex, but when it comes to color, this is more darker than the Chemex. All right, then after looking at the color, this visibly tells me that the body is going to be light when it comes to the Chemex than the V60. So first we deal with the Chemex. Just light body, but a little bit or a pinch of high acidity. Quick finish. It has some sparkling, sparkling flavors, things that I feel sparkling on the front of my tongue. So basically, when you feel the sparkles, that basically means that that coffee attains fruitiness in it or different beautiful flavors. Then let's get to the V60. Wow. Okay. It has a heavy body than the Chemex. Its flavors are just shouting more. It has a low acidity. That's what I can tell you. Than the Chemex. Low acidity, but the body here is heavy. Than the Chemex, the flavors are shouting more. It has a long-lasting what? Finish. You can still feel the coffee, unlike with the Chemex. So basically, though we can feel the same flavors, but here the flavors are shouting more in the V60 than the Chemex. Like I told you, many videos say this is good coffee. I always appreciate any coffee that comes my way, but when it comes to comparison, it depends on my mood. If I feel like I am stressed, I have a high headache, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to take a V60. But when I'm in my moods, I don't feel like taking something strong, I don't feel like I just want to enjoy my day without anything strong, I am going to take a Chemex. And I would recommend a Chemex for those who are just starting coffee, because you are really going to enjoy it, rather than starting with a V60 that chase you away from coffee. But also that depends on the kind of coffee that you are using, with the quality. Is it specialty or just commercial? But all these coffees are just perfect. So what if I give it a blend? Most of you have not yet tried it out. And let's see what we get. I'm getting beauty. See you in another video.